Is odorous? Making up words. Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast.
Is odorous a word?
I don't know. We're going to have to let the folks, as they come in, you join us. If you catch the first few seconds, let us know. Is odorous a word? Welcome back to the Fish Life Podcast. We're going to recap and review the Bassmaster Open weekend. And hey, we got a man from the scene of the crime. The man that caught, I think, the biggest bag of the tournament. He won Big Bass Tournament. Had a blowout day one lead. Unfortunately, the rest of the weekend got tough on him. But Mr. Brandon Dillard is going to join us live. We're also going to talk about the most recent MLF television activity, which was filmed a while back, but they don't do live streams on the MLF Championship, the World Championship, I guess they call it, the General Tires deal, the old school MLF format. Jordan Lee won it. We're going to break that down. We just finished watching the last part of it.
Who won it?
Jordan Lee.
Surprise.
Yeah, we're going to talk about all that. We're also going to talk about how Major League Fishing definitely does have its flaws. There are some things that are not great about it.
Yeah.
And there's some evidence. And then we're going to talk about who's going where, because there's some angler movement. So it's crazy for it to be Thanksgiving, dog. Happy Thanksgiving, by the way.
Happy Thanksgiving.
Happy Thanksgiving to all the folks out there. Have a great week this week.
Why is it so hot?
Why is it so hot? I don't know. Because we live in Texas, dog, and you never know what it's going to be.
That's right.
But it's crazy that it's Thanksgiving, and here we are. We've got just maybe as long a list of fishing tournament and fishing talk to discuss.
Yeah, it's odd.
As any part of the year this year, and it's Thanksgiving. Normally by now, nobody's thinking about bass fishing anymore, except for the diehards like us and probably most of you that are just trying to figure out how to get a post-frontal cold front bass to bite. Mm-hmm. Or here recently in Texas, a pre-frontal warm front bass to bite because it's been warm. Yeah. That's something else we're going to talk about. Let's go ahead and talk about that.
So
what's going
conditions.
On? Mm-hmm.
I hadn't been fishing, but I talked to a friend of mine that lives in Central Texas, and he told me he found them on a trap the other day before tournament, and then tournament day, they were gone. So the bass are still acting like fall bass.
It's fall. I mean, we've talked about it several times here recently. They do get very nomadic when they start chasing shad in the fall. They get more so than being isolated on any one type piece of structure or cover, they really get targeted on a school of bait. Right. And that school of bait tends to wander because bait fish are kind of dumb and they just kind of do random things. They follow the sunshine or whatever.
I mean, they're just trying to stay alive and stuff. So, I mean.
They are. There is that. there is that.
Yeah.
But, yeah, they do tend to roam and kind of show up in more random places in the fall at times. Now, one thing I will say that I noticed this week around here specifically is that man, those fish are starting to kind of get out of that roaming the flat deal and just roaming and starting to get a little more structure oriented with creek channels and drains. And that's good.
We like that.
That's good.
That's
a good thing when they start getting, it just allows you to target those fish that there may be more than one of them there, a little bit of a grouping of fish on some type of a depth change or something you can target. And you can have confidence that you're putting your bait in front of them without having to stare at them suspended on a tree with live scope.
Not that I'd be able to do that, but.
Did we just go? Yeah, we went there. Yeah. Yes. I mean, you can always know you're putting your bait in front of a fish if you're using Garmin live scope.
We're getting closer to my favorite time of the year as far as fishing. You know what I'm talking about.
Jig season.
Jig season, baby.
Jig season. We just did a seminar on jig fishing. We did part 1 aired yesterday. Part 2 will air next Saturday. Jig fishing is how I caught on Friday. Well, it's the bigger fish got caught on a jig Friday. Still a lot of that shallow water chatterbaiting and stuff like that going on, square bills and stuff. But yeah, we're getting to that time of year where Friday was the first day where I put a jig in a creek channel and got multiple bites, and they were all big quality bites, which is awesome.
That's the thing about that jig bite when they start, familiarizing themselves with that creek channel again. You ain't gonna get a whole lot of bites once it gets a lot colder, but the bites you do get are gonna
you can get a lot of bites if you'll downsize and go to a finesse jig, or if you'll throw a shaky head or a Texas rig.
Right.
You can get numbers of bites in those creek channels doing that, and we kind of have both deals going on. I had the customers throwing worms because they weren't really Texas. Then I got another bit. I'm like, hey, y'all want to throw that jig? And they're like, yeah. And then we caught some big fish, But it definitely was, even on Friday, it was a noticeable downturn on numbers of bites. You got less bites with the jig, but man, every bite you got seemed to really be quality. So that's the textbook jig fishing scenario for the fall. Hey, let's get that phone up and let's get ready to call Brandon Dillard. And you don't have his phone number, do you?
I sure don't. Wait, Mike.
You don't have his phone number, and it's in his phone. I'm fixing to have to monkey this whole live stream deal up. It's not going to be in there, I don't think. Is it? Look at here. All right, so we're going to go live with Brandon Dillard. Now, for those that don't know, this man right here, he's the man on Lake Lewisville.
Welcome to Verizon Wireless.
That's the old Dillard number. That ain't the current Dillard number.
Well,
Bear with me for a second. This might disrupt our live stream. I apologize to all y'all watching right now. Well, I don't know what happened the first time.
we're live.
We're live. Somebody let me know if we disrupted that. I apologize. Mr. Brandon Dillard, how are you doing, sir?
What's up, buddy? Man, I just rolled out of bed.
Catching up on some sleep after a weekend, I'm sure, without much sleep going on this weekend.
Man, I tell you, that is mentally and physically exhausting.
Yeah, that was your first time at an event of that stature for sure. And I was, dude, of course, you know me well enough, you'll totally buy into this because me and you, we're buddies, so you know me a little bit. If you only knew the train wreck that just occurred live, the live train wreck occurred while we were trying to get your number for this phone that we're calling you on when your number was in my phone and we're already live streaming on it because I forgot to give it to pull it out and save it on this other phone before, you know what I'm saying? Is any of this making sense? It was a mess and we were live and I'm not
if
sure.
If it's a train wreck, you're involved in it.
That's my deal. That's kind of my deal. And so what I need to do right now, first thing I need to do is I need one of the viewers to comment and let me know that we are back live.
Yeah.
And then we almost gave out your phone number on a live stream because I was reading
Oh, well,
it.
it's out there anyway, so
You were
it's
fixing to
okay.
be running guide trips on Lewisville for the next 6 months.
Yeah. All right. So we do have some viewers telling us that we're good. So I apologize to everybody watching. Brandon, I apologize to you. But what I was trying to explain to the folks before the train wreck ensued as I was trying to call you is that, you know, over the last, since I've known of you, before I've even met you, I knew about you. And, man, when it comes to Lake Lewisville, Grapevine, all those lakes over there, kind of in that central DFW area, man, you've kind of been the guy. You've been the guy that everybody sees as when he shows up on tournament day, well, that kind of sucks. Because he's probably going to catch them better than most people. I mean, you just won a ton of tournaments. You probably caught more double-digit fish out of Lake Lewisville maybe than most other people combined. I mean, you just had a tremendous amount of success over there. And, man, it was so exciting to see day one when that Bass Track updated. We couldn't watch it live on day one. But when Bass Track updated, and like everybody, like the other leaders were at like 12 pounds, and all of a sudden it dropped Brandon Dillard's name around the middle of the day, and it said 24 pounds. I was like, that's right. That's my boy.
Yeah, it was an amazing day one. You know, I really showed up and I really didn't have a plan. And you know, my practice was I had a few things. I had a spinnerbait bite up shallow going, and I didn't have I didn't check a lot of my deep stuff. I know on Louisville that's where the deep bite those fish live out there. I know the 7+ pounders, that's where they're at. I didn't sit on a lot of that stuff in practice because there was a lot of eyeballs out there and a lot of guys showed up early to practice. So I really stayed off of the lake, you know, those official practice days. I think I went out there one day and just rode around for like 2 or 3 hours. So I really stayed off of that deep stuff, you know, on purpose. But I really didn't have a plan, and I just asked my co-ing guard, I said left or right, and he said left, and I went left, and my first stop, I made about 3 or 4 casts, and I made another, I said last cast, and I made that cast. I catch a 4.5. I'll stop in another pocket with the spinnerbait, catch a 2.5. And then, you know, I got a text from my mom and emotional. I got emotional in the middle of this tournament. And, man, I just had to compose myself, but it gave me this burst of energy. And my next 3 stops, I stopped. I catch a 2.5. I catch a 6. And then the sun popped out. I go to a deep brush pile, and the first brush pile I stopped in, I pitched in there, and then I saw her on the grass, and I turned around, I set up, and I pitched in there, and she hit it, and I hit her, and it felt like, you know, 6-7 pounder. It was a big fish, and it wrapped me up in the brush pile, and and she got off. And so I was like, well, at least I got a bite in one. So I turned around and went to about 50 yards down and went to another one and graphed it, saw a big one, set up on it. Pitched in there, first cast. I mean, she hit it kind of like a perch. It was like a couple of just 3 or 4 pecks, and I was like, oh, that's a small fish, but I'm going to swing anyway. So I swing, and this fish literally comes straight to the boat, and I'm reeling the whole time. I'm thinking, oh, it's not that big. And then she comes up with her mouth open, and she just, I guess I brought her up so fast, her air bladder filled up, and she just fell over on her side with her mouth open, and I reeled her in the whole way with her mouth open, coming to me, and I just reached down, and she never fought, never went left or right, jumped or nothing.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. So I spent like an hour after that trying to get this fish, stabilized and fizzed and all that. And one of my co-anglers' son was fishing as up on the pro side, and he came over there and gave me some weight clips and stuff, and so we got her taken care of, man. But it was just one of those days, that you have.
That's great, man. That is that's pretty cool. Sometimes things are meant to be in fishing. It's funny. You have those days where things work out that way, and you're like, well, that was just meant to be. But it's meant to be as a result of a countless amount of days and hours in preparation over the years. And then, yeah, there are times when you can have all that preparation and it doesn't work out, or it works out mediocre. And then some days it all lines up. And to have that line up on day one of the biggest tournament that you've ever participated in, man, it couldn't have worked out better, and it couldn't have happened to a better guy, man. I was so excited to see that go down the way it did. Now, this is totally up to you how much we do or don't get into this. You let me know, but there's a lot going on with emotionally for you. There's a lot going on with your mother. Do you care to explain any of that?
Yeah, she just got diagnosed with cancer, stage 2 breast cancer. So she just went through, I guess the Monday before this tournament, she went through her second stage, her second round of chemo. So yeah, man, it was it's been tough. I lost my dad to cancer at 57, and he died on Christmas Eve of 2009. I just lost my grandmother, a year and a half ago to cancer. So yeah, man, it's been a rough one, but we're just trying to keep faith and trying to keep my head and mind, in the game, trying to stay focused with, all of that stuff going on. And my mom's just my biggest supporter, my biggest fan, and she really, cheered me on and just told me, she's like, don't get all worked up. She knows how I am. She's like, don't get all worked up. Don't put any pressure on yourself. Just go out there and fish for the love of fishing. And a couple days before the tournament, I put on my mirror in the bathroom, I had wrote some things down, and it says, fish relaxed, stay confident, go for the win, have fun. This opportunity may never come again. And then my mom told me, do it for the love of fishing.
Yeah.
So I have all that written, and I was reading that, every day leading up to the tournament. So yeah, man, it's been one of those times for sure.
Man, that's great. Well, just know, obviously we've got viewers commenting on here telling you, hey, great job. We got people saying, Godspeed, prayers for your family and all that good stuff. So you got a lot of people out there that you don't even know that are supporting you and praying for you and thinking about you. And we certainly are too. And listen, man, that fight that she's dealing with that's not an unwinnable battle there. My wife actually went through stage 2 breast cancer herself, and here we are several years later, and she is she's doing fine. All health is good with her. She has totally in remission, no issues. So it's something that can be done. It's something that can go the wrong way. So it's one of them deals. You just got to fight and pray. And I know you guys are doing that, man.
Yeah, well, I appreciate it, man. It means the world to me, and just thank you to everybody that's praying for her and praying for my family. It means everything to me.
Brian Anderson asking me to drop his name. Brian Anderson is a guy that's commenting some of those positive comments for you. He wanted me to tell you who he was. So Brian Anderson's one. Now I know, kind of moving on and changing subjects a little bit here, not to minimize the importance of what we just talked about, but hey, man, you're a guide now. You done join the ranks of all of us scallywags and deplorables, and you're a daggone bass fishing guide, and you operate over there in the DFW area. Tell us a little bit about your guide business.
So, I had kind of talked about it for a few years with my fiance, and, I was kind of into tournaments, so I was like, I don't really want to, show anybody anything or nothing. You know how us tournament guys, we're all secretive and stuff.
All you tournament guys, y'all hate me and my fishing apps and all that stuff.
Yeah, so COVID hit, and then I got laid off from my job. I was doing commercial military aircraft parts, doing CNC machining for like 13 years, and then COVID hit, and lost my job. We had a big layoff, and I said, well, I guess I'm just going to start my guide business. So I put it out there, and, man, it was just such a blessing. I booked up, and I stayed 2 weeks booked out through this whole time, and it really just took off, and it was just a huge blessing because I didn't know what else I was going to do. How the economy was during COVID, and everybody's worried. So yeah, man. So I just started it, and it's been great, man. I've met some awesome people, some lifelong friends. I mean, I'm a people person, and I've had some kids catch their PBs out of my boat, and man, just really, really awesome experiences, and it's been fun. Just to be able to do something that you love, and to help people, learn how to be better bass fishermen. It's just really cool.
Yeah, it's kind of funny you mentioned that part of it, and that is something that as a fishing guide you do. People start out as customers and end up being some of the best friends of your life. I mean, you make some really good friends. The guys I were fishing with Friday have become really good friends of mine, and it's amazing how that relationship aspect and the kid aspect, everything that you're saying, those are all the best parts of the business, and it's great. Man, I get a lot of people, a lot of guys that come up to me and ask me, hey, how do you start being a fishing guide? What does it take to be a fishing guide? And it's kind of ironic because the ones that are asking me are always the ones that I caution. I'm like, listen, a lot of people think being a fishing guide's awesome. They think it's a great idea. They get to go fishing every day. It's not really how it is. And what's funny is with those people, I'm like, well, if you're having to ask me about it, you probably don't love it enough. Because one thing about being a fishing guide is that if you don't absolutely, on an obsessive level, love it, guiding will ruin it for you. It'll turn something you really, really enjoy and really, 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 really like, and it'll make it something you don't enjoy anymore. You have to be obsessively in love with the sport of bass fishing for guiding to be an enjoyable occupation. And the ironic part about that is Brandon Dillard never asked me any of those questions. He just started and we're good friends. Like, we're buddies. We talk, we fished together early in the year. When you were making that decision, we fished together. And you never had to ask me because you knew it was something that you loved and you wanted to do, and you'd figure out how to make it happen. And it's kind of ironic. It's a little bit of life irony. The guys that have to ask you how to do it or should they do it, usually the answer is probably not. It's the guys that don't care and are going to go pursue it no matter what because they're obsessed with it. Those are the guys that need to be doing it, and that's you.
Yeah, for sure. I remember, fishing that day, and I thought about, but in my mind, like I said, I'm obsessed with bass fishing. It's been my life. The bass fishing saved my life, and it's been everything to me. I've tournament fished, so probably 25 to 35 tournaments a year since 2008, and when I was working, every minute I wasn't, working, I was fishing, and I fished, and I put in a lot of hours, I just love to fish,
Yeah, absolutely, 100%. I forget to fish with a lot of people, and I can tell. It's no doubt that it's real with you, brother. Now, as far as your guide business goes, of course, if anybody wants to contact us on our platform through Your Lake Fork Guide to get with Brandon Dillard, we'd be happy to send the trip to Brandon. No problem. We can get you if you want to fish any of those DFW lakes that Brandon fishes. Where do you primarily focus on area-wise? You're mostly like Lewisville, Grapevine. What else?
Lewisville, Grapevine. I actually have a trip. I'm taking a guy down to Fairfield tomorrow. So I go down to Fairfield, especially a lot in the wintertime, in the springtime. It's just a fun place where you can go catch numbers, and some big ones too. I mean, we had an 8-pounder on my last trip there, but so I mean, I'll go anywhere, but mostly Lewisville and Grapevine are my two main lakes of operation over here.
And what about booking? Where do they go about booking you? Is there a Facebook page, a website? What do they need to reach out to?
Yeah, I mean, I just run it off my personal Facebook. Just look me up on Facebook, Brandon Dillard. A lot of people just text me. My phone number is 214-809-5194, and you can just text me and book a trip. And I don't really have a website set up yet. It's been when I kind of started it, it kind of took off so fast that I haven't really had time to. I need to make some cards, some business cards. I haven't had a chance to do that. I need to get a website up and running. So yeah, I'm planning on hopefully here in the winter I'm gonna get a little slow down time and get some of that done.
Well, I guess we didn't need to worry about giving out your phone number earlier.
my bad, I jumped the gun on y'all.
That's all right. Well, I wasn't sure. You never know, man. People are all different about that. But No, okay, so that's great. So, yeah, look up Brandon Dillard on Facebook. Hit him up at that phone number. And like I said, also, if any of you guys listening, you forget that information, you can always hit us up at yourlakefortguide.com, and we will sure be happy to get you in contact with Mr. Dillard and get a trip scheduled for you. Any way we need to do it, we'll get you out with the man, the Lewisville Hammer, Brandon Dillard. Dude, that was a great job this weekend. You know, one other thing that I wanted to ask you about, and again, I'm kind of pushing the envelope, being an investigative reporter here, I guess. But,
Okay.
you know, there's a lot of young people out there that, and maybe not so young people, that find themselves, you know, life kicks us in the teeth sometimes, right? And whether it's whatever may cause it, maybe loss of a family member, maybe just poor decision making, maybe substance abuse issues, something gets a hold of you that you can't quite shake. But a lot of us get in situations where we get down and we get in a bad situation and in a hole that we don't feel like that we can climb out of. And at this point, you just had a great performance at an opening. You got a successful guide business going. You're somebody, whether you realize it or not, that there's a lot of people that really enjoy fishing that are looking up to you at this point. And they're thinking, man, if someday I could get to be like Brandon Dillard in the fishing world, that's what they want to be. There's a lot of people that want, that aspire to be a full-time fishing guide and things like that. And it's something I deal with too. And it catches me off guard still to this day where people are like, man, I just want to do what you do. I'm like, I'm not anybody special. But the point I'm making here is I don't know all the details and I don't know how much you want to share, but I know you're a man that had a little bit of a rough road in part of your life. And you've come back to be one of the finest men that I know, and you've got a successful business in an industry that you love now. You've got a great soon-to-be wife in your life that's an awesome part of your life. You've got a great family structure. I mean, you've got things going the right direction, but it wasn't always that way, was it?
No, so yeah, I mean, you know, when we're young, we all make mistakes, and you know, I made mistakes when I was young, and you know, you just, you know, you go through those things, and you kind of learn, you know, who you want to become, and without struggle, you'll never have the drive. You know, you got to see everything can't always be easy. You know, and it's been hard. You know, I've worked my tail off. I've put my head down, and I've gotten to where I am, and I'm still not where I want to be. But I mean, I've just, you know, at the end of the day, I just try to. You know, my grandma who passed away, bless her heart, she always used to tell me. I'd always, you know, talk to her about stuff, and she'd be like, "Brandon, just do the next right thing. You know, just keep doing the next right thing, and if you keep doing that, things will work out for you." So. That's kind of one thing that I've taken away from her and her life, and you know, I just try to treat people the way that I want to be treated, and treat everybody fairly, and you know, just you know, show love, you know, because at the end of the day, you know, we're all fishermen. We all have the same passion, and you know, we're all here for the same reason, you know. And I know things can get competitive and things like that, but you know. At the end of the day, it's all about just having fun, you know, and enjoying what we're doing, whether or not we're just, you know, going through life or fishing or whatever it is we're doing, you know, just have fun.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Yeah. It bring, you know, sometimes some of those hard things that we go through bring a lot of perspective. And I think that's what you're speaking to right now is you've got a great perspective and appreciation for what's going on in your life these days. And you probably wouldn't have that if things hadn't been a little bit of a struggle for you at one time. And I think that all of us could say that. And I can tell you for sure, out of all the people that I've met in the industry and in this world, and man, you're one of the good ones. You're one of the good guys that, you know, everybody likes and everybody respects, and I've always appreciated your openness with me. You've always been open to the friendship with me. You've never judged me based on what anybody said. You never judged me based on anything other than our interactions with each other, and I truly do appreciate that, man. And I can tell you guys, for the listeners out there listening, if you want somebody to pull for in the bass fishing world that's a little bit of an up-and-comer, this man right here, Brandon Dillard, is one to keep your eye on and pull for. Now, are we going to do some more opens next year? What's the plans going forward? Now that you fished on this level, I mean, let's talk for a second about who you just fished against. I mean, we're talking about Scott Martin. We're talking about Greg Hackney. We're talking about who else, Chris?
Oof.
You know the roster better than I do.
I mean, the list goes on.
Brandon Polnick. Jacob Prosnick.
Yeah.
Man, there was Gerald Swindle.
Gerald Swindle.
There was a lot of guys, man, that Keith Combs, Lee Livesey. I mean, a lot of guys that I,
Yeah.
you know,
And you beat
that I
all
follow,
of you
that I
beat
look
all
up
of those
to.
big names except for Hackney and Combs, right?
Actually, Combs finished below me, but Hackney, I think Combs finished in like maybe 11th or 12th or
Okay.
somewhere around there, and then Hackney beat me by like 2 ounces.
Hackney beat you by 2 ounces. I mean,
Yeah.
Hackney is my favorite. He's just my personal favorite
Oh,
just because
yeah,
I like him. He's
yeah,
fun
me
to watch.
too.
Yeah. Yeah. So, I mean, that had to be – how cool of an experience was that to be in a field against those guys?
Man, you know, it's just a dream come true. You know, I look up to those guys. I follow all that stuff. You know, I'm a huge fan of the sport, and you know, it was just awesome to be able to compete against those guys at that level, and just to, you know, interact with them. And you know, Keith Combs stopped on the dock on the morning of the championship day, and he's like, "Hey, man, go catch me like 16 to 20 pounds a day." And you know, I would have sent him to the Classic if I would have won. And you know, we had a good. And I said, "Man, I'll try my best." I said, "You know, us Texas guys, we got to look out for each other." You know, so we kind of laughed, but
Yeah.
it was cool, man. And I'm sad, you know, that I didn't get to, you know, send him to the Classic. I really wanted to, but you know, Lake Lewisville, it just got really tough. You know, those last few days, it was probably some of the toughest conditions, and those guys that won, or the guy that won, and the guys that were up there with him, they really had the experience, and that's what I learned. And it's all about learning. You don't always, even if you don't win, you can still learn. And those guys had the experience to know that in a 3-day tournament, man, you got to find some fish that aren't pressured.
Yeah.
And I promise you, those fish up there where they were fishing were not pressured at all. So they were able to sustain the pressure. But you see, even the day one guy that, or the winner, his weight went from 18 to 15 to 7. So it was, you know, it was just able to, mine went from 24 to 3.5 to 3.5. So it was able to sustain the pressure better than, you know, all the main lake fish that were just getting really pressured.
Yeah, it was a give it your best and hold what you got situation. It was certainly that. And Lewisville can be that way. Lewisville can be, you know, what's funny is there are big fish, and you've proven it by some of the giants you've caught there. There's definitely big fish in Lewisville. But, man, it just, to me, Lewisville seems like a lake where, yeah, there's some big fish in it, but, golly, it doesn't seem like there's a real big population of fish in that lake.
Exactly. I don't remember who it was, but maybe the interview guy from Bass, I was telling him, I was like, you know, a big school of bass on this lake is 4 or 5 fish, whereas like Sam Rayburn and Fork and some of these other places, they have big populations. You'll see 20, 30, 40, 50 bass sometimes, but you just don't see that on Lewisville. You know, a big school of bass is 4 or 5 fish, and you know, we have big ones, but it's just, you know, we don't have a massive population.
And that's what makes that a multi-day tournament so challenging up there, like you were talking about, for sure. For sure.
Oh, back to what you asked me originally about the opens and stuff. So I'm waiting on the schedule to come out, and I'm really going to try and push and try and fish, you know, all 4 of the opens next year. Bass puts on an awesome tournament. You know, those guys are top notch, professional. One of by far the best tournament I've ever fished, and they really run things the right way. And it was just, you know, once you kind of experience it and fish more at the local level like I have for so long, and then you experience it at that level, it's just, man, you just want to keep doing it. It's just a fun organization to be a part of. So I'm going to look at the schedule, and hopefully I can get everything lined up, and I'm going to try to fish all 4 and try to redeem myself and get that Classic berth, you know.
That's great, man. Dude, I would not be surprised at all to see you come out of that deal looking good. It's an almost impossible road to qualify through the Opens to the Elite Series. But then again, as hard as it is to do that, if Brandon Dillard fishes all 4 Opens in the Central Division and qualifies for the Elite Series, it really wouldn't surprise me that much. So we got all the faith in you in the world, and we'll be watching and pulling for you. Those of you out there listening, make sure you follow Brandon Dillard. Book a guide trip with him through us or through his Facebook page. And Dillard, man, I can't thank you enough for taking the time. I know it's been a crazy week, and I appreciate you talking to us tonight, bud.
Man, thank you, man. I appreciate it so much.
And one more thing, we're going to get you back in the old goat boat, get you out there and do another. We're going to do some more Your Lake Fork Guide videos here pretty soon, me and you. What do you think?
Yeah, man, let me know. I'm always ready. Springtime, you know, some frog fishing. I'd like to come out and do some swim bait stuff, too.
I'm down like a clown, and you know I am, brother. Thank you so much. Y'all have a great night, Brandon.
All right, brother. You too.
All right, later, bud. That's really all I can say about it. Sure. So let's get the stats out here on the Opens. Let's recap what's going on. Some interesting developments have taken place through the Bassmaster Opens.
Breaking news.
Some interesting developments have taken place. MLF released a 2021 roster that was missing some names. It was missing some names, folks. And in fact, if you look at the Central Open standings, the first two names at number 1 and number 2 in the Central Opens, which are concluded, they're done. We know what's going on in the Central Opens. Jason Christie,
I.E.
with an IE. Jason Christie with a Y. Newsflash, Christie with a Y still has not caught a fish in 2020. Just so y'all know. But Christie IE and Greg Hackney are no longer on the 2021 BPT roster.
Called it.
You did call it. I wasn't sure about Hackney. I was pretty convinced on Christie. So Jason Christie and Greg Hackney have qualified for the Elite Series. They will be on the Elite Series in 2021. No doubt about it. Another one that was missing from the roster was Mike Iaconelli, who hadn't qualified for doo-doo this year. He hadn't had a great year. He hadn't qualified for anything, but he is qualified under the Legends exemption deal. He's actually number 3 in the Legends exemption points rankings. The way that works, I believe you get a point for AOY and point for a Classic win, and he's third, and he's third to Roland Martin and Larry Nixon. Roland Martin has said that if Scott Martin qualifies, which he might still qualify, we'll talk about that here in a second. If Scott Martin qualifies for the Elite Series, Roland Martin wants to come back and fish the Elite Series with his son. That's one spot. Usually Bass gives out 2 Legend exemptions per year. So that's one spot that's taken up above Iaconelli. Larry Nixon ain't coming back.
Yeah.
No. So odds are Mike Iaconelli is coming back as the second Legends exemption. So you can see Mike Iaconelli, Jason Christie, Greg Hackney, Gerald Swindle, Brandon Polinick. Okay. Seth Fighter, Chris Zaldane. Like, it's okay. It's starting to kind of bounce back the way it used to be now. It's getting there. Hey, listen, you give me 20 to 30 of them kind of names, like, they used to have 60-something guys or whatever they got rated or whatever it was. You give me half of those guys back. Now, when Lee Livesey wins an Elite Series, give me another new name that's won an Elite Series event.
We can even talk about Patrick Walters.
Patrick Walters, but he's won on all levels.
Well, I know, but I'm just saying.
But the point is, like, when Hank Cherry wins a Bassmasters Classic.
There you go. Hank Cherry's a great example.
It'll be the best. Like, that was one deal I felt so bad because Hank Cherry has almost won a Classic against the full field. He's competed against the full field of Elite Series names back before all this craziness happened.
Right.
And then he wins a Classic, but, like, there's no Swindle.
Right.
And there's no Polinick.
Right.
And there's no Hackney. And there's no KVD. And there's no, There's all these, you know what I mean? Like, there's a bunch of guys that were missing that he did not beat to win that Classic. And it kind of, for me, it kind of made it like, but.
Right.
And I hate that because Hank Cherry is a deserving fisherman of a Bassmaster Classic title.
Right. No
No doubt about it. But it had a little bit of luster taken off it because of that. Well, now, you give me a good 10, 15, 20 of those names back in that field, and all of a sudden, it's the same as it always has been. You know what I mean?
Yep, for sure.
Here's what we need to find out. Kenta Kimura, and there's so many moving parts still with this because you have the Central's Angler of the Year qualification, and you've got the Eastern qualification, and you got the guys that aren't going to accept invites or are already on the Elite Series. I don't even know all the guys on the Elite Series this year because all the name changes.
Yes.
So Kenta Kimura or Mark Frazier, are either one of those guys on the Elite Series? Because if they are, guess what? Daryl Gleason just qualified. He's in 5th.
Right.
I don't know if they are or they aren't.
I don't think he is. I don't think Kenta is.
Kenta Kimura is not on the Elite
I
Series?
don't think so.
But did he qualify some other way? We don't know. We don't know. Mark
There's
Frazier.
a lot of unknowns.
There's a lot of unknowns.
Dude, I'm rooting for him. That last name is so cool, man.
Pat Schlapper.
Pat Schlapper.
Pat Schlapper.
That's one of the coolest names ever.
So in the East, it's interesting because Patrick Walters is number 1. He's obviously an Elite Series angler. Is Josh Strackner? Is Strackner an Elite Series guy? I don't know.
I've been seeing his name a lot.
Pat Schlepper's trying to qualify. Scott Martin is in 4th right now, but he's got that last Eastern Open. Justin Atkins is in 6th. So he's right. So he's one spot out of qualifying for sure, or maybe one spot in, depending on who is or isn't already qualified. And then Justin Atkins is also in the race for Angler of the Year points on the Central Opens, which also qualifies for the Elite Series.
Mm-hmm.
Man, there's a lot of moving parts of this.
See, man, I get it. These guys like fishing. They love fishing. But, man, I don't think you tried that hard.
No, Atkins is going.
Yeah.
In fact, Atkins is one of the names that's missing off the BPT roster.
Is it?
Now, if he doesn't qualify, because he ain't got no Legends exemption, Justin Atkins. But Gleason will get in because they take the overall AOY first over the East and Central. Yeah, Gleason's in. Gleason's in! Daryl Gleason just qualified for the Elite Series, so that's great. Congratulations to him. That's awesome. Yeah. Scott Martin's really the biggest name, and Justin Atkins too. Scott Martin and Justin Atkins are the two big names that are all in on trying to qualify for the Elite Series. Atkins' name is not on the BPT roster for 21. And if they have a really bad tournament at this last Eastern Open, which is, where are they fishing? You remember?
That's Lay Lake.
Lay Lake. Oh, Lay Lake can get the best of everybody at times, right? It can be tough. But if they don't qualify, Scott Martin, I guess he just goes back to the Opens again. Scott Martin doesn't really have to worry about it because he got enough money going through all his social media stuff. He'll be fine. And he can keep trying to qualify through the Opens every year if he wants to.
It's good for the sport if he does qualify.
It's good for the sport if he does qualify. And then if he qualifies, Roland Martin
comes back.
That's awesome. That's really cool.
Like, yeah, I mean, it's
and
just
him
like,
and Rick Klun can go out there. Can you imagine? You got Roland Martin and Rick Klun sitting down at dinner, and all these first year on the tour guys walk in the restaurant, and they're like, "Well, I don't know if I belong in this gun club or not."
They're gonna be the only two guys drinking coffee at dinner. I promise you. So,
yeah.
I mean,
so we got something to watch in the last Eastern Open, which is not this weekend, but the next weekend.
Right.
It's 2 weeks from now. That'll be a great event to watch.
First week of December. Yep.
The event at Lewisville was interesting, man. There were some guys that really struggled. Condolences to Lee.
Yeah.
Lee Livesey wanted to qualify for that classic on Ray Roberts. He had a tough first part of the year, which, hey, who didn't this year? Right. He had a tough first part of the year out there on tour and did not qualify for the classic through points. He had one last chance, and that was to win this event. Didn't do it. Condolences also to Keith Combs, who was in a weird position through all the different points, movements, and all that stuff. If Brandon Dillard would have won this tournament, it would have put Keith Combs in the classic somehow. And I'm still not real sure how that works.
Yeah.
But it would have. And that's what Brandon was talking about. And Keith Combs also could have qualified by winning himself. He had a great tournament, but didn't win it. So Keith Combs is. So we're not going to see Lee Livesey or Keith Combs in the Bassmaster Classic on Ray Roberts. And that's a shame. That's two Texas guys that are really, really good that we don't get to see on Ray Roberts. That kind of sucks. But, yeah.
I wonder when the Open schedule is going to come out.
I don't know. I think they're probably going to get through this last one, and then shortly thereafter they'll start working on that. And I mean, I would imagine by the first of the year for sure. By the first of the year, they have to.
Yeah. I was thinking the next couple of weeks, honestly. You would think.
You would think. I mean, it's got to be coming soon. So that's it, man. There's the AOY standings for the Opens. Christie and Hackney are in. Gleason is in. And we're sitting here waiting on Scott Martin and Justin Atkins to see what happens with them. Looks like they might both get in as well.
It's going to get weird,
Here's a good question from Michael Menon. What happens if an angler qualifies for both the overall standings and either the Central or Eastern standings? Does the next angler down get bumped up in the Eastern/Central standings? Yes. So if you double qualify, then you knock another person in. It drops down to the next person in the standings. It's like back in the day when you qualified when they had the 3 or 4 Opens divisions and only 3 per division qualified for the Elite Series. Well, sometimes those guys don't have the money to fish the Elite Series in the old pay structure back in the day. So, like, if 3 get in and you're sitting in 4th and the guy that's 3rd says, I don't want to fish the Elite Series because I can't afford it, well, the guy that's now 4th qualifies.
That's right.
So, like, Patrick Walters triple qualified for the Bassmasters Classic.
Right.
So him doing what he did actually got 2 guys that would not have qualified. 2 more guys got in because of Patrick Walters.
Right.
Triple qualifying by winning Texas Fest, by qualifying in points, and by winning an Open or something like that. Yeah. He won an Open. That was a qualifying spot, so the guy second got that spot. He won Texas Fest. And so the next guy down in the points got that.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah, the Angler of the Year points, Texas Fest, and the Open.
Correct.
That he triple qualified. So
that made my brain hurt for a minute.
It's a lot of moving parts. You know, let's Speaking of confusing and moving parts, you know, Major League Fishing in their format,
You almost need a calculator to watch it. And it's not because you need to add up the weights.
man, it can be a little bit confusing sometimes, and some of it just seems extra. I guess you might say that's a modern term.
Yeah, let's not shy away from the fact that we were just watching the tail end of one, yelling at the TV.
We were.
Going, wait, what?
We watched the final of the last General Tire World Championship. Shout out to Jay Lee. Jordan Lee won the General Tire World Championship, the last one they did, the last rendition of it. And man, it was honestly, as we were like right in the last 5 minutes, like this is one of the greatest fishing tournaments I've ever watched.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm not here to dog MLF and say that I don't like it. I love it.
Yeah.
We were in there cheering like it was the freaking Super Bowl, man, and our favorite team was in it. Like it was the Cowboys and the Texans in the Super Bowl.
That's right.
And we're yelling at the TV like it was awesome.
Just rooting for old Austin Fowler.
Yeah, our buddy Austin Fowler, that's like Jordan Lee's fat twin.
Oh, Lord.
And just to keep you guys tuned in tonight, we are going to go all the way in on one particular MLF angler. We got to call somebody out. There is an MLF angler, and he's a local Texas guy.
He's got it coming.
He's very local. We're fixing to get after him.
He's part of this community.
Yes. But, dude, so the way this thing works on these world championships is they go there and they got like 20 guys. They got like 2 groups of 10. And the top 4 in those 2 groups move to the next round. But there's so many moving parts. Like, okay, so you're going to fish for 2 days in this group of 10. Well, the guy that wins day 1 automatically bypasses into the sudden death round. Yeah. Well, but the other 9 guys, got to fish for 2 days.
Mm-hmm.
And the remaining 3 of the top 4 have to fish for 2 days, and the top 3 qualify.
Right.
Really, it's top 4, but the one guy gets in after day 1. It's confusing.
Yeah. Now,
It's
you
very-
just confused me, and I know how it works.
It's very confusing. So the bottom line is, after 2 days of fishing, the top 4 get in, but the guy that finished first on day 1 doesn't have to fish day 2.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's fine. I mean, it's a little confusing, but I can go along with
Yeah.
that. And you're in 2 groups.
Correct.
So now you've got 8 anglers that have qualified into sudden death. So this is day 5 of the tournament, but really it's like day 3 for each angler.
Yes.
In sudden death, there's 8 guys. 6 guys qualify to the championship.
Yeah.
What in the absolute hell is the point of 6 out of 8 going? What's the point of that day? It's just another day to drag the tournament on longer. There's no point to 6 of 8. Like, it's stupid. It's freaking stupid.
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what is the point of that 6 of 8 qualify sudden death round. It's just to get another TV show in there is what it is.
I mean,
and in this particular one, we just said Jordan Lee won. It was one of the greatest finishes we've ever seen. We'll talk about that here in a second, because it was one of the greatest finishes we've ever seen. But in this particular one, in the 8 out of 6 day, it almost cost us Jordan Lee being in it.
correct.
Because Jordan Lee and his group almost won day 1. He didn't quite win, so he didn't bypass. And then he was in the top of he was up at the very top of his field of 10 over 2 days.
That's right.
So he was good. He was dominating that day. He ends up winning the tournament. So he was dominant, except for on that day where it was sudden death round.
Almost didn't get in.
He was sitting in 7th until like the last few minutes.
Mm-hmm.
Like he almost got eliminated on this dumb day where 6 out of 8 go through.
I mean, that'd be like Dancing with the Stars coming out one day and just playing the music that they're gonna dance to one episode.
Like, if it was like half of that field
It's
got
pointless.
eliminated, like in all of our cuts, like in traditional bass fishing, in all of our cuts, you got a field of 80, you cut it down to 40 after 2 days. Then you cut it down to 10. Like, the cuts get progressively tougher. Not, well, we're going to cut only 4 out of 10 make it through the first 2 days, and then 6 out of 8 make it. What?
Yeah, it doesn't make any sense.
It gets easier for a day? Like, I don't understand
Yeah.
that at all. I don't get it. Like, why not just make the 8 the championship?
Well, if you're gonna do the 6, okay, if you're gonna do 6, go forward.
Put
6,
12 through.
Put 12. Yes, thank you.
Put 12 through in the first. It just doesn't.
Right.
It doesn't flow. And all it does is you've got an already. I applaud them for trying to do new stuff because they do. And one thing I love about MLF is they try to do something new, fresh, grow the sport. They're trying to give us a more exciting TV product to watch. And on championship day, it is.
Mm-hmm.
It is more exciting to watch, in my opinion, in a lot of cases like this one that we're about to talk about.
Right.
But you're taking something that's new that people don't really fully grasp all the way. Even like, I mean, I'm in the world of bass fishing. I know how tournaments work. Like,
Right.
I've watched a million of them. It's a little bit confusing, and you're making it more confusing than it already is.
You have to stick to the ratio. Like, you have to have a ratio and stick with it, in my opinion.
You just, MLF, what we're saying is make it a little bit, like, simplify it a little bit. Make it
Right.
easier for all of us bass fishing fans to follow.
Right.
Like, we're on board with the counting every fish. Like, we get that.
Mhm.
And I'm not even arguing that anymore. I don't even think that's a
No, cool.
better or worse format. In fact, gun to my head, you tell me which one's the better measure of a day, I'm probably going to say every fish.
Yeah. Agreed.
Maybe not 1-pounders.
But
First, let's talk about championship. Then we'll get on the 1-pounders. We're going to get on the 1-pounders, and we're going to get on somebody's pants and somebody's haircut. But that's all coming up. But
Bueller.
championship day of the World Championship, that was one of the greatest
That was good.
tournament fishing days, finishes, championships I've ever witnessed in my life. I mean, yeah, they were fishing up north, and they were catching a lot of smaller fish and all that. But, dude, Casey Ashley and Jordan Lee were, like, going at each other the last 30 minutes of that turn. It was insane, dude. And they had stretched away from the rest of the field. It was just those two guys the last part of the day. But Jordan Lee took the lead with like 15 minutes left, and then Casey Ashley took the lead back. And then Casey Ashley, right when he's hooked up, and then Jordan Lee's hooked up at the same time, and they're just boom, boom, boom. And it's ounces.
Yeah, the buzzer beater effect is real.
The buzzer beater, like watching a real sport, and this is the official scoreboard. And Jordan Lee ends up going ahead by 15 ounces with like 5 minutes left.
I think it was even less than that.
Maybe less than that.
Yeah.
But he's up by 15 ounces, which means one legal keeper, and Casey Ashley's back in the lead. And Casey Ashley catches one with 3 minutes left. 3 minutes left, Casey Ashley catches one, and it's 13 ounces. It's 3 ounces shy of the World Championship. And instead, that's the last fish that gets caught, and Jordan Lee wins. That was the most dramatic, and it was over a 1-pounder, but,
Yes.
I mean, that's the most dramatic finish, one of the more dramatic finishes that we'll ever see in bass fishing. You just can't script it much better than that.
I hate Casey Ashley.
I know.
And
That sucker,
I like Casey Ashley a lot,
I know.
but I'm
We're
so
jealous.
jealous of
We're
Casey
a little
Ashley.
jealous. Okay. Listen, how you get born that good looking, that creative of a songwriter, and a good singer, and look, generally just one of the coolest dudes. Like anybody that's
Right.
ever interacted with him, that dude is so laid back and so cool.
He is.
It's not funny.
Yeah.
Oh, and by the way, I'm one of the best fishermen on planet Earth too. Like that dude thinks he hit a home run, but he was born on third base. You know what I mean? Like he ain't done nothing. He was just born right.
He ain't never had a spam sandwich, ever.
He was just born into success. Like that dude could have made all the mistakes he wanted to in life. He was always going to succeed.
Telling you, man.
No doubt.
Blows me away.
Let's talk about 1-pound keepers for a minute, because one of the best things that MLF did on the Bass Pro Tour was they went to 2-pound keepers and 2-pound minimums. I had no complaints about it. There was nobody talking about the Little Fish Tour when they went to that.
No.
Because the 2-pounder's a good keeper.
A
2-pounders,
2-pounder is a keeper that you would keep in a tournament, and you're probably going to have several in your bag.
and on a lot of lakes, you're not going to usually cull
Right,
all your
exactly.
2-pounders. A 2-pounder is anywhere from a 14 to a 16 to a 17-inch fish,
Mhm.
depending on how thick it is. I mean, that's a good fish. There's nothing wrong with that. In a lot of ways, it's a bigger minimum than what they have in a lot of BASS tournaments.
Right.
Being 14 inches. You'll get a 1.5 or a 1.75 fish that's 14-inch minimum.
If anybody wants to talk trash about the 2-pounders, go look at the Elite Series events that happened in the fall and look at the averages at the bottom of the field.
Go look at the Open this weekend.
That-
There was
exactly.
dudes begging for some 1.5,
and, that's
14
what,
inches.
and that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So 2-pounder, like I'm good with
Yeah.
it, like you said.
But then they go back, and I get it because they're going up north, and there's not as many big fish up north. Like a 2-pounder's a better fish up north in that World Championship. But in the World Championship, they go back to the 1-pound minimum deal.
Yeah.
And it's like, bro, in those shotgun rounds where they had the 10 guys, like it was a race.
Yeah.
It was no challenge for those guys to catch 1-pounders. It was literally just about who could catch them faster.
Right.
That was all it was.
Yeah.
Man, that's not the real art of bass fishing, in my opinion. It's not something I really want to sit down and spend 2 hours watching.
Especially not the apex of a tournament.
Right. Like the deal is, listen, all of us could go up to those little 2,000 to 6,000 acre lakes they're fishing in Minnesota. We could all go up there and catch a bunch of 1 pound fish.
Maybe not as quickly as they could, but still.
Granted, if we're in that field, they'll beat us and they'll catch them faster and they'll catch more of them and they would beat us. But we can all go up there and catch a bunch of 1.5-pound fish. Like, these are the best in the world. Can we push them a little bit?
Right.
Can we push them a little bit?
Yeah,
they got to get rid of that 1 pound minimum, even in the World Championship. They got to get rid of them. And I've heard the discussion, and somebody asked Boyd this on a podcast somewhere, and I heard it. And it was his deal was, well, listen, guys, you're going to a lake that there's no pre-fishing on. They haven't been there. They don't get the practice. I don't care, Boyd. I don't want to see a race to who can catch 85 1-pounders. I don't want to see that. Whether they have practice or not, let's go catch some. Let's get some 2-pounders, and then let's make those guys sweat when they catch one that's 1.5 pounds or a pound, or maybe make the minimum 1.5 pounds. I don't care.
Yeah.
But get rid of the one. And the 1.5 pound fish don't even. When they say 1 pound 12 ounces, I'm not upset about that one.
No.
But the 1 pound even and the 1 pound 3, dude, those are babies. I mean, in Texas, those fish were born in the spring and caught in the fall.
Mm-hmm.
Literally. Like, that's the young of the year that runs around by the hundreds on the bank every fall.
Yeah, I mean, okay, put it in this perspective. You're deer hunting. You gonna shoot a fawn?
Right?
Well, of course you're not.
Yeah, I mean, these suckers still got spots on them.
Yeah, are they gonna do it on a hunting show? Of course they're not.
No.
Because there's no, first, it's just not exciting.
It's just not what you're supposed to do.
Yeah, it's not what you're supposed to do.
It's not right. And I am for changing and adapting and moving on and progressing the sport. Man, that 1 pound minimum's got to go. Even in the World Championship, it's got to go. It's got to go.
I like how they started kind of getting lake specific with it, like when they came to Fork. And that's
well, they said it was hold on now, because we can go in on that. I hear what you're saying. So they came out and said we've got a variable minimum for Bass Pro Tour. We're going to start at a 2 pound minimum, but it might go up and it might go down.
Right.
The only time they moved it was for the heavy hitters tournament. They went to 3 pound minimum on the last day.
Right. That's true.
The rest of the time it was a 2 pound minimum. Right. So for all their talk about a variable minimum, they really didn't use it. I would like to see them use a variable minimum and move it for the lakes they're on the Bass Pro Tour. Sure. So, like, on Fork, maybe we go to a 3 pound minimum.
Dude, I think a 3 pound minimum would be awesome.
Maybe we go to a 1.5 pound minimum when we go to some other lake.
Because you as a fishing guide, like, you can understand this better than anybody, really. If you got a set of customers one day and they say, hey, I want to go, I don't care if we get bit today, but if we get bit, I want it to be one of these. Yeah. You're going to fish completely different than you would if you were targeting 2 pounders.
Yes,
so I want to see these guys go out and freaking swing.
Mm-hmm.
Like, let's go.
And they've taken steps. And listen, I don't have any problem with the Bass Pro Tour product that I saw this year. Well, the only problem I have is they didn't fish all of them. But the product that I did see from the Bass Pro Tour this year was excellent.
No, it was good.
The fishing was excellent.
For sure.
And they caught big ones. And I've got no issues with that. My only real issue is the 1 pound.
I think that the ears at BPT MLF work a little bit better than a lot of places, whereas like they hear something being said about them and they go, okay, well, hey, watch this. So I think that you're going to start. I think the size of the fish they were catching was a big deal to them.
We got the Cedar Creek Freak is asking, do they still get penalty for the fish touching the carpet? I haven't watched MLF in a while. Yes. They still get a penalty for fish touching carpet. You know what else they get a penalty for? And this is the fish touching the carpet one. I kind of can understand and like not necessarily support, but I get where they're coming from. They're trying to drive awareness about proper fish care, and yeah, we don't, especially with how many people are fishing now. We need to start trying to keep. And I'm the worst about it. I boat flip them all the time. We really need to start trying to keep the fish off the carpet. We've got so many people fishing these days that if that many fish are hitting the carpet, it does hurt some of them when they hit the carpet. But the stupidest rule ever is that you got to release it below the edge of the gunnel line. Yeah. Like, you're going to catch a 2 pounder and I've got to stop what I'm doing and take, I mean, it's a split second, but I've got to stop what I'm doing and bend down and I can't let him go till he's below. So my gunnel's right here. I can't release the fish unless it's below the gunnel. So if I catch a 2 pounder and I just kind of bend over and toss him back this far above the gunnel, he jumps higher than that when you're fighting him, folks.
Because I can't even bend
like
down.
You're throwing him in the water. Well, you realize that, right?
Dude, I can't, I'm sorry, I'm pretty young, but dude, my back is so jacked. I can't tie my shoes but twice a day.
Right.
So you got me jacked up if I'm bending over all the way.
I mean, I'm just saying, how are you hurting the fish by tossing him 2 foot above, 1 foot above the gunnel, a 2 foot to 3 foot jump? You're going to toss him into the water.
Right.
that he just jumped 3 to 4 foot out of when he was fighting you.
Yeah.
But somehow that's hurting. That's not fish care.
No.
You're not hurting a fish tossing them back in the water from 3 foot above the surface.
No.
You're not hurting a fish. You couldn't hurt a bass throwing him in the water if you chunked him up in the air 10 foot.
No.
Him hitting the water ain't going to hurt him. Period.
Yeah.
Period. That is the stupidest rule that I've ever seen in bass fishing. Oh, you got to release and blow the gun on. Oh, jeez.
That was a very good question that just came up.
Is the bear hug not hurting the fish? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a great comment too. Cedar Creek Free, they care about fish safety until it's a 5-pounder, and then they say, I'll just take the penalty. Yeah, that's
Right.
true.
Yeah.
They all are like, oh, fish care,
Hey,
fish
and
care,
we
fish
would
care.
all do it.
And then they get a 5-pounder, they're like, I'm taking a penalty. I'm boat flipping this one.
Dude, I play a game when I let go smaller fish. I always try to throw them back in the water where they nose dive, and they just like them little torpedo toys
Yeah.
you used to play with in the pool.
And to answer the bear hug question, the bear hug is when they get down there and they lip them and then they pull them into their chest and their slime coat rubs off on their clothes or
Right.
whatever. Yeah, that hurts them too. But in MLF, that's a penalty as well. You're allowed to have a slight touch so they can get under their belly, and if the fish lightly touches their clothing or something, that's fine. But they can't pin them against their chest like they do on Bassmaster.
I call it the odd defoe
Yeah.
forearm.
Yeah, you can't hug that
Yeah.
fish in tight. You can get him under his belly and hold him in the boat like that and then handle him. But if you push him against her, you're allowed to have slight touch is what
Right.
they call it. They say that's a slight touch, no penalty, or that's more than a slight touch, that's a
Right.
penalty.
Yeah, the releasing the fish below the gun was ridiculous.
That
And you know,
is
if you think about it, like a big one, I'm gonna release like that. But that's only because I'm gonna set it in the water, just because I want to touch it longer. Because it's a big fish.
I do. Yeah. No,
Yeah.
I put him in there and then I lay him on my hand so I can look at him.
You're right. I'm just like, I
As
really
he
don't.
swims away.
I'm gonna let you go because I want you to live, but I really don't want to let
I
you
don't
go.
want to let you
right
go. I don't want to let you go.
Like, that's the whole reason for that.
You catch the
Everybody
big
does
ones,
it.
you don't want to let them go.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you there, bud.
You
I
are
hear
my
you.
pet fish.
You know what else really annoys me?
I can guess.
Can you?
I can. Go ahead. You know what really grinds my gears?
It doesn't really annoy me. It's just like, it's not that it annoys me, but it's like, are you serious? Are you serious?
I know where you're going with this.
There's a man named Jeff Sprague out of Point, Texas.
I know him well.
Used to be a Lake Fork guide. Chris still works in the beer distributing business. Chris used to work for me, kind of.
Yeah.
And he had the same role that I used to have now. We actually used to do some beer promotion with this guy named Jeff Sprague when he first broke out on FLW Tour. He's sponsored by Keystone Light.
Mm-hmm.
So we both know Sprague. And listen, I'm not hating on Sprague.
This is all
Sprague,
good, clean fun.
Sprague is a hell of a fisherman.
Mhm.
But dog, if you did this,
Oh,
like if you did this,
yeah.
I would get you. So Sprague, if you pay it any attention, and I doubt you are, but if you are, don't get your panties in a bunch because you must be wearing panties if you're wearing pants like those, son. What is Jeff Sprague? What are those pants he's wearing? What are those?
You know what they look like? They look like those, what's those pants you get married in? Slacks.
It's like, dude, the cat's wearing tuxedo bottoms
Yeah.
and a black and white fishing jersey.
I couldn't tell if he was officiating football or in a fishing tournament.
This cat literally, he's not wearing like wind pants, rain resistant wind pants, black pants. He's wearing black tuxedo bottom pants
Yeah.
to fish in
Yeah. Like Eddie Bauer.
and a black and white jersey. What on earth are you thinking, Jeff Sprague? Like, did Boyd Duckett put you up to that? Tell the truth, Sprague. Is that like a Boyd mandate? Like, you got to dress like this. We're going to be the formal fishing tour.
Like, did he?
What the hell is going on?
Did he get a part-time job, like on a campaign trail with somebody that he
I
had
don't
to for that or
know.
what?
It is an election year, I guess.
I mean, I don't know.
I don't know. And then he tops it off. For all the years that I've known Sprague, and my hair's a little long, I'm needing a haircut right now, but you know, most of us Texas boys, a lot of us Texas boys, keep that nice clean cut, real short on the side, a little bit of a nice, almost a military style haircut, right? You know?
That's how I cut my. I just had to do this because of my
Yeah.
Halloween costume that I wore.
So we do. We keep a nice little tight fade.
High
Man.
and
We
tight,
keep it
baby.
looking. Just, you know, you're supposed to be, especially in the more redneckish world of bass fishing. A lot of guys are clean cutting. Some guys like fight or rebel, and they have a mullet. You know,
Which is awesome.
no problem. Looks good. He can
Right.
pull it off.
Yeah.
And there's just certain things that some of us can pull off and some of us can't.
It's almost like an unwritten rule, really.
And Sprague always had that nice clean cut look about him.
Mm-hmm.
And he went from that to. How would you describe what he's got
I don't
going
really
on?
know because I know the term and it's not really the term. It's not.
There's a
not the
term
correct
that describes it pretty good that we probably shouldn't say.
He looks a little bit like maybe like Napoleon Dynamite-ish.
Do y'all
almost.
remember when Justin Timberlake
Come on!
back in the day?
Come on!
You know, Justin Timberlake rocks that nice clean cut fade now too.
Mm-hmm.
But back in the day, Timberlake had them curls kind of puffed out and a little, some people might call it a Jufro.
Yeah.
But he had those little curls poofing out off the back of his head.
Yeah.
Sprague is rocking that look. We're just going to call him Jeff Timberlake Sprague.
You think after every bass, he went, bye-bye, bass?
Maybe the pants help him dance more like Timberlake. Maybe that's what it is.
We cracked the code.
Yeah, he's wearing the pants so he can dance like Timberlake because he's got that haircut now. And if you got that haircut, you better be able to dance like Justin Timberlake or you ain't ever getting any anymore.
You'll never be able to catch a bass.
You're never
son.
picking up another woman if you've got a haircut like that and you can't dance like Timberlake.
Dude.
Mm-mm-mm.
Oh, Lord. Timberlake.
I can't believe we're not getting any spray comments. So you guys must not have seen the most recent World Championship, or you just didn't notice what we noticed because we're watching that in Sprague. And poor Sprague, he had a bad last day. He finished at the bottom on the last day. He's like 1 or 2 spots from the bottom. And then at the end of the day, he was like, you know, like we all do. He's kind of pouting about getting his butt kicked, you know?
Right, yeah.
And he goes to drop his little fairy wand spinning pole he was using. He drops it on the deck and it goes in the water and he's got to reach down and get it out of the lake. Like,
Because God forbid he lose that Snoopy rod.
yeah.
Man, all right, look, I'm giving him a hard time, but guys, I got to be honest with you. I'm the biggest hater of a spinning rod. Like, I don't think there's anybody.
We could have that debate on which one of us hates it worse.
Well, yeah, it'd be close. There's not many people that hate a spinning rod as much as I do.
Tim Rhodes has been. Tim Rhodes. This is my old tournament partner. You know what? I don't even like this guy anymore. I don't even like Tim Rhodes.
Kind of trolling, wasn't he?
Tim Rhodes has been on here talking trash the whole night. He's probably already half drunk. Now John Maxfield is on here. See, here's the deal. Tim Rhodes was the only guy that I really liked fishing team tournaments with that I ever found that I like fishing team tournaments with.
I understand.
And you know, loyalty matters to me. Like I would never. If I was going to sign up for a team tournament, Tim would be the first phone call I would make.
Fair.
But Tim's got this buddy who I'm now buddies with named John Maxfield. And they're wanting me to go fish against them two on some little lake over here outside of Van. They're wanting me to go there and fish against them, and they're wanting me to get a partner and come team tournament against them.
When we showing up? Let's go.
The problem is, like, I don't even want to do it because I'm mad at Tim. Like, how you going to, without even seeing if I want to fish with you in this little derby, you're just going to have another partner.
I get it.
Like, I would never sign up for a team tournament and ask somebody else before I asked him.
You know what the best defense is? A good offense.
Yeah.
Let's go.
I'll tell you what. How about I get Brandon Dillard?
Yeah, there you go.
Maybe I'll just go get Brandon Dillard to be my team tournament partner, Timmy Rhodes.
I gotta call Patrick Walters real quick.
Yeah, let me see when old Pat's coming back to town. How about that? We'll get out there in Pat's boat with a live scope on that little private lake and catch every fish in that joker.
There's one.
Yeah.
You got this one? All right. Net? All right.
Yeah, I'll literally just stand there and hold the net while Patrick Walters live bait, jerk bait on the live scope. Yeah.
Hey, you can hook the GoPro to the net?
Yeah. That'll be our content for the day.
Is he still talking trash?
Yeah, it's Maxfield there. Who knows?
Dang, Tim. Oh, that's funny.
Maybe Gary Payne says maybe Sprague got sponsored by Hagar. Or Dockers. Dockers.
Is Dockers even?
Dockers would be the more appropriate for a fisherman, right?
Did they make it through the pandemic?
I don't know.
Everybody that wears them was out of work. I'm sorry.
Oh,
that was
man.
up. I shouldn't say
Oh. Tim says someone else has live scope. You ain't got the same live scope Patrick Walters has. I'm gonna tell you that right now. That sucker catching better than the entire Elite Series using it.
Can we also talk about how long those episodes were?
Oh God, yeah. Why 2 hours?
Why?
Yeah, MLF. Why 2 hours on TV? I mean, I get they're trying to get more covers to sign. Here's the deal. It's like YouTube. The longer you make your video, the higher they rank it in the algorithm because they can sell more ads on it. I think that's the whole MLF idea. But dude, man, like it's okay. So the way that I like to watch those MLF championships is I don't like to watch any of them when they first come out.
Right.
I want to wait until I record all of them, then I want to watch all of them.
Right.
Bro, that's 12 hours of television program for that tournament.
Yeah.
That's a little much.
And
Can we just knock them down in 1 hour tournaments? Like,
Yeah.
I don't need to see the 75th 1-pounder. You
Right.
can just show me half of those and then tell me the score.
yeah, or like, hey, we're jumping in Jason Christie's boat. He caught 4 fish in the last 15 minutes for
Yeah.
blah blah blah, and then they show him catch 3 times. Like,
Yeah,
that's cool.
I think a lot of the stuff that MLF done. Listen, and like I said, the last episode I just watched, I loved it. The finish was amazing and all that. A lot of the stuff they've done has been very, very groundbreaking and very, very good for the sport, and it's a very good product.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes they overcook the let's change it up recipe.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
There's
Like, they're
only
just
so much.
overcooking the recipe. They overreach, and you're gonna get that. Like that, I guess that's only natural that when you're trying to do something groundbreaking, innovative, you're gonna make some mistakes.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why we're here talking about it, because we want the product to be as good as it can. Like, if you're gonna make those mistakes, we're gonna talk about them. We're gonna talk about the good stuff too, but we're gonna talk about the mistakes.
Yeah, mistakes aren't always a bad thing when you have a new business philosophy too, because it gives everybody else to something to talk about and it keeps you more relevant at the same
That's
time.
true. That's true.
So that could have been.
Hey, at least it finally aired, because we hadn't had anything MLF to talk about all year.
That's right.
I mean, since June or July, or whatever it was.
I did the same thing you do. Like, I cannot stand watching a series or something like that and having to wait.
Yeah.
You know, like we used to.
No, I think that's modern now. Like, everybody
Yeah.
binge watches everything. Like, when you watch something, you sit down and you watch it.
Yeah,
And
like-
you finish it.
Like, I started Yellowstone yesterday. I watched season 1 yesterday.
Right.
You know?
Right. Oh, did you just now start Yellowstone?
Yeah.
Bro.
Bro.
Bro. That's a great television show.
Mind blown.
That's a great. It's a great television show.
Yes.
Yes.
It's.
How have you
Oh
lasted?
my God.
What?
Woo!
What?
Look at that big
It's a
sucker.
daddy long leg.
I just glanced at it out of the corner of my eye because.
You can't. You know we're live, right?
Yeah, I know.
He went into full panic mode so bad that you scared me, and it's a daddy long leg.
Bro, I just seen it out of the corner of my eye. Don't put that thing on me, Billy. Billy?
It's on your chest. Yes.
Man, I got arachno. No, I can't even finish that.
Man, I think we probably rambled enough tonight. We're probably, yeah, it's definitely devolved into something that we probably shouldn't be that proud of putting out. I'm throwing daddy long legs at you on live YouTube, so.
Bro.
With that being said, thank all of y'all so much for watching tonight. I hope you enjoyed the first hour of this until it got crazy at the end. But Jeff Sprague, we're sorry. We still love you, buddy. I should try to get Lee on the podcast. I can try to get Lee on the podcast. I don't know. Lee's not a real talkative guy.
Yeah.
Or at least maybe he just doesn't like me because he's never talked much to me. I don't know. We'll try, though. Hey, man, thank y'all so much for watching. Chris, do that thing you do.
Don't throw another spider at me.
I'm going to throw every one of them at
Yeah, I
you.
hear you.